Hi, this is Catherine Uslan, and I'm coming today to talk to you more about Google Forms. I know that we have a couple of people who are asking online chat maybe how they can use a Google form to help with their assessment. And I've been using Google Forms, for flipped classroom situations when I'm away for a conference, or if I want to work with students individually yet have them working during that class time. So I can put them in small groups, or I can have them work individually in our Chromebooks, and then I can walk around to each student as they're working, talk to them, do a little review, and see how they're doing on their Google Forms. And I'm hoping that we have a couple participants on here that are able to join us. I'm going to look and see if they're here yet, because our hope is to have a conversation. A couple of teachers were, maybe they've never made an enriched Google form before, so this is our chance to talk about it, and we can do some troubleshooting. And we have no viewers right now, so if we don't have any viewers, I might start this a little bit later because our goal today was to connect with you. I'm going to look on the tweet deck and see if there are any answers yet. I hope everybody's having a great break so far. Ours just started yesterday at 3:05. I've had a couple of teachers say, I'm going to take an absolute break from school. I'm not going to do anything, and I respect those people. I think that's a great idea. I would like to be able to do that. I could choose to do that, but I find during these 2 weeks I get so many ideas during the fall that I don't have time to implement them all. So when I finally get to these 2 weeks where I can take an hour or two each day and just try out new things, that helps me come back for the rest of January. We don't end our semester until it's like January 30th, so I have to have some new things, get ready for a second semester, and just finish up on a happy note with the students where they know that they're feeling secure in their knowledge and they're able to demonstrate what they're doing. I provide them with lots of opportunities to demonstrate through their technology or pen and paper, video, whatever it is they like to do. Well, this will be kind of strange if I don't see anybody, because I'm hoping that my emails got through, and let's go check it on the Gmail. If you were watching right now, oh, we've got one viewer. I hope. Okay, is this Amanda? Okay, Amanda, I'm going to turn on the chat, and if you can see this, it's on the right side of your screen. I'm just going to type hello and see if you can answer that, if this is Amanda or someone else from Lang Chat. I did put the Lang Chat hashtag on this. It was an idea that was brought up about, 2 hours ago. What can I do? What can I do? And I thought, well, let's try it out. Let's answer these questions together. Teachers, we like to share ideas, but we also like to learn from each other. So I'd like to see what other teachers are doing around the country. I teach French, and I have taught other languages before. So if there's some sort of question that you have that's language specific, I try and reach out to those people. Japanese teachers, I have worked with an entire workshop with you, so that was pretty exciting. Chinese teachers I've worked with before as well. The interesting thing is that I know more about Japanese, not culture, but I know about music and some of the literature, some of the history. So we've been able to work on that. Japanese television is always fun to implement in the class. And I know that Colleen up in Vancouver does a great job with sharing out the Japanese resources. So it'd be cool to take some of her resources, take some technology that she's able to use, and throw it together. Okay, well, I did put a question in a chat in the chat box, and if my one viewer is Amanda, I would love it if she'd say hello back to me so I can add her. My goal would be to put somebody on so they could talk and ask our questions so we can have a conversation. All these fun moments. I was hoping that perhaps I can go back into the tweet deck and see if there's an answer yet. Let's see. Awkward pause, I know, I'm sorry. Well, what I'll do is I'll start by opening up my Google Drive and showing you how to do this. I've had quite a few times where I use my school Google Drive and my personal Google Drive, and that's what I'm going to be using today. I noticed that because my school drive came in later, we became a Google Apps for Education school later than I had already been using Google Drive. So most of my stuff is in my personal one that I used with my students. And now going back over to the school has been a little bit I haven't quite made the entire migration yet because I'm still trying to figure out how I want to organize this Google Drive, since I've had thousands of documents created on the personal one. It's kind of fun to watch the newer teachers who have never done this before learn a little something here or there and then share it with the other teachers. So if you have something you want to bring up, please put it in the chat box. Okay, so I've got my Google Drive up for my classroom, and I'm going to share my screen. And you'll see I go kind of crazy here for a second, and I'll pop on over. So here I am in my Google Drive, and you can tell over here, this is my school one, and it's named Français and VHS. I use it. I have all my stuff organized in folders. I'm kind of big on that, and I have a few things that I have not organized yet. So some things that students have sent to me. But one place that I do have is the form and sondage. So I keep all of those in here that I can keep track of all of the ones that I've made before. So I'll show you an example of one that I made for my students. Okay, this is the actual building form. And by the way, there says try the new Google Forms. I'm not ready to do that yet, so I'm keeping it on the old one, and I can look at the responses that the students have done. Of course, this is a little bit tricky to read. I have a better way to do it, but at least you know that you've got all your questions are in there, and then your students and exactly what they've done. Okay, we're going to click out of that. So if we want to see what the live form looks like. Okay, so I changed the background. I really don't like the templates that Google gives you. This one is French meals. So I'm reading and I understand. So they had an article in their hand. I also put it online so they could read it online. And the first thing I always ask them on a Google form is, what's your name? What's your first name? If you're using Google Apps for Education School, it can automatically collect their information. I choose to do it this way because I'm still deciding if I want to go over into the school realm yet. So they've read this article, they've learned the words for lunch, breakfast, dinner, snack. They had some cultural information about that. So now I'm just asking them, this is a French 2 class, real basic. I want to see if they understood enough the reading this so they could look at a different image and apply what they learned. So here they have, what meal do you see in this image? And so I gave them the choices. And they also learn the words for drinks, appetizers, all the different portions. And you notice I'm using culturally relevant images. Okay, so this is a French breakfast. It has a bowl instead of a mug. And it has a real basic breakfast. And you have some honey back there. Same thing, there's hot chocolate with a biscuit and tartine. And then, of course, I had to put in also in a picture of the McDonald's breakfast because actually they're pretty good. Okay, so now we're getting into the questions based on the article. You know, what do they prefer? And this is what they read, so they can go back to the article and look at that. And I could do this by hand, I could do this on paper, but I've noticed that students are more apt to click on an answer instead of filling in a bubble, which is still technically the same thing, but I'm able to choose the picture and choose the questions, and it's visually stimulating enough that it gets them, it entices them to use what they know. So here I've got, click all the words that are acceptable. So what do you see in here? Or excuse me, what plates do you see in a typical complete dinner? Okay, so then they go through that. Based on their reading, they had a word that they hadn't seen yet. It's hard-boiled eggs. And so I wanted them to learn how to use word reference. So I put a link in there, and they can go right into that link. I don't have them Google it. I go right to it so they can find out where it is, and then they come back and they answer it. So here we're having a question that we want them to understand that does the salad precede or follow, since that's a cultural thing. And in Europe, the salad usually follows the meal. Okay, so this is according to the article, how many cheeses are there in France? And so again, I'm choosing all these pictures to help them. As I get down towards the bottom, I have them start filling in. Since these are novice low to novice mid, and this IPA was kind of designed for them to be about a novice mid, I started having them write in some things. Okay, so they have a link that they're going to follow that I found. It's on 750 Grammes. It's one of my favorite websites for food. And I chose the desserts, traditional desserts. There's pictures, and they look at the ingredients. And then they're going to try 3 desserts, what they want to try. So they're going to answer that in complete sentences. And then kind of, I always want to know if they're interested in sweet snacks or salty type snacks. And then what do you like to eat after school snack? And sometimes I put in a little extra help for the kids who don't know. So I'm putting, I really like to eat. I don't eat anything. It depends. And then here's their submit. It's a quick assessment of their reading knowledge. I find that, like I said, that students really do like just having that option to look back at their art and click on the technology. And then you're combining both worlds. Okay, so I will check to see if anyone has replied to my tweet deck. Let's see, have you joined? I was considering doing this at a little bit earlier because since I'm trying to log in. Okay, Amanda, let's see. Let's send her a link because it's always good to invite people. Okay, so she's Amanda. Sorry, it's going to take a second, so you might hear some clicking. And that's okay because once in a while live things go like this. So Amanda, we're going to get her there. Send her a link and hopefully she'll be able just to pop right in to, yeah. So we've sent this to Amanda, and if she doesn't pop in, I will stop the chat and redo it again. I don't think that's always the easiest thing to do if you're on here, and I'm sorry. I'll give her a few seconds to click on that. Well, the other thing that I like to point out is that there is a whole ATF Tech blog post about how to use Google Images, Google Forms on our ATF blog spot. I'll put that link in here for you because there are ways to collect your student answers so that you don't have to see them in that longer view. I use a great little tool, a little add-on that you can get to Google Forms. And some people use Flubaroo or Flubberoo. I'm not sure how they do it, but it's called, the one I use is called Autocrat. So it does a document merge. It takes each student's answers and puts them on an individual Google Sheet, a Google Doc, so that you can see all of their answers on one page. And that way you don't have to go scrolling through. So if you wanted to go visit that, the link is here. I put it in the checkbox. Oh, it's Amanda. She's on. Okay. So Amanda, can you see me? I see you. I'm going to unmute you just a moment. Hopefully she's got that up there. Let's see. We're going to show her. We're going to present to everybody. Okay. Amanda, you're on for everybody, just so you know. Can you hear me? Okay. And then can you unmute your mic? You're muted right now. So I don't know if you've got a mute button on your computer. Oh yeah, I see you're talking. I just don't hear you. So can you check your earbuds, or are you on a Mac? I can see you. It's not allowing me to unmute. Okay, so let me try and figure that out here real quick. I'm going to stop presenting you for a second and try and figure out how to unmute her. Show and broadcast. Okay. And then, okay, so there we have both of us up here. This is kind of fancy. Go back and forth.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. We're both on.
Yay, finally.
Okay, thank you for being here. I didn't know if we had missed the time issues or not.
It wasn't allowing me to log in for some reason or access.
Well, welcome to the West Coast time. It's wonderful. And you're in Wisconsin.
I am.
Well, I'm from Minnesota, and I used to live in Rochester and Moorhead, so I know Wisconsin quite well. Thank you for your fireworks. We always appreciate that.
Yes, thanks.
So, yeah. What would you like to do with your, I hear that you might be out of school during finals, so what would you like to do?
So I guess I didn't plan it the right way, or plan it, I guess, timely for our final. We just read the book Esperanza, the TPRS novel, and we just finished it about a week ago, and we're doing a choice board for our projects right now, but our finals are the third week in January, so they're about like right after Martin Luther King Day. And depending on what my doctor says on Monday, I might be having knee surgery soon. So I will most likely be out. We'll see. At least I'm not sure if I'm going to be having much time to kind of teach in between now and finals. And so I'm trying to stick with stuff that we've covered, which has been a beauty unit, and then our novel, the Esperanza novel. So, and it's a Spanish 4 class, so they are upper level, and there's a wide range. I have a lot of students who are quite motivated and very, very interested in the language, and then some other students who are kind of just floating along. And so there is the range. We do have a computer lab, and we do have access to Chromebooks so that we can have those in the classroom if need be. But I definitely want to include some type of speaking for them. I know some of them struggle with listening, and they pointed that out and said they would like to do more listening. So I definitely want to do something with that. We do a lot of writing in general. So, and then, like I said, we do a lot of reading. We've done a lot of, well, especially with this novel too. So,
and I've seen that, I think, is that Carol Gobb book?
Yes.
Okay, I know her, yeah. Okay, great. So what were you intending to do if you had been there, if you were going to be there
it would,
for your final?
I try to do like the 4 areas. It's usually, you know, I don't want to say paper pen, but it's, they have, you know, a reading on, you know, on paper, and then they'll answer comprehension questions. Usually listening is either, I usually try to find some type of audio, whether it's like an audiolingual or something like that for them to do. And then speaking, this is my first time teaching 4, so I don't know what the other teachers have done, but with my 3s last year, we would do some type of, you know, they would have a picture or something, and they would talk about it depending on what the units were, or they would call into Google Voice that way. And then a writing of some sort with a prompt or whatnot. And so that's generally how it would be.
Okay.
Not
and then,
if I was there.
So this is a comprehensive test, not more of a just based on the book. Is that correct?
Right. And so,
okay.
And I mean, the themes within the book are immigration, and we've talked about unions and corrupt governments. And so, I mean, they have a wide range of things from that book, just because those are some of the themes. I try to focus more on the content of the book rather than the language, because it is a lower level book. So they do have quite a grasp on the information or the things that happened in it.
Well, would you like to look at using a Google form to sort of replace that for you?
Yeah, that would
because
be
great. If you're okay. Would you ever do like something where you're talking as the teacher and you want your students to listen to you and then answer based on that?
Yeah, we do sometimes like that. Sometimes I will do different listening where
some people do like do a dictato or they read a certain passage. But do you have any authentic resources in audio that you want to use in that are online?
Not yet.
Okay, so we can find those, and there's a lot of people online chat that would be excited to help you with that. I know, especially Carol Gobb. I'm sure that they've got resources for that. And then also, since you're using immigration, that's a big topic. There's so many things available right now on there. Like even if it were an audio report dealing with it, so like kind of like doing an IPA based on your themes. Is that would be something for you?
Definitely.
Okay. Have you ever made a Google form before?
I have. We've actually done some Google forms for chapter comprehensions for this novel, so they've participated in those. I've done those.
And then what do those usually look like? Are they just question answer? Or do you add media into them?
I have not included media before. I've just mostly questions.
This is perfect. I'm so excited because this is the first time I'll be able, I mean, I've done this presentation at workshops a lot, but I think it'll be fun to work with somebody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and you'll be able to see it, and then pop in when you have a question or something doesn't seem right. Okay. So I'm going to go over here and switch it over in just a second. So, and then let's go over here and then we'll share the entire screen. Boom. Okay, so you see about 1 billion of me right now. Okay, so do you see my screen for Google Drive?
Yes.
Okay, so when most people have seen this before, you go into your Google Drive and you go into the Google Forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put it still in my shared folder because I share it with my other colleagues. And I was saying on this earlier, is I don't really like the new Google Forms. So it's like when we got the new Google Drive. I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody went through that pain. So I check it out in my other accounts. I get to know it before I show it on live because then I get all mixed up. But
Right.
A couple things is just for those people who like to choose new things. I do the customized because I like my own look to it.
Okay.
And so, for example, I choose my own header image, and I have all sorts of, there's ones that they have, but you can also upload your own image so that if it relates to your idea or to your theme. For us, we were doing, I'm going to go back to my school one here real quick. Kind of lots of ideas. And then I've got it under my authentic resources. And then we're doing immigration. I'm not going to try and follow you exactly, but just here's our migration one. Just throw one out maybe like that. We'll see. And sometimes the picture is too small for it, but sometimes it works out just fine. So there it is, immigration in France. And I just have that as my header. And then you can also change the font and the color. I really don't like the colors that they chose. So you can center it. You can change all this stuff. Okay. I tend to make the text a little bit larger for my students because when they're on the Chromebooks, it seems sort of small. And they don't know all the, not all of them know how to use Control+ to make the text larger. So for the questions, and I give them a bold color and then I make it large so that they can see it. Same thing with the options. I try and make them large enough so that the students who don't, so that just makes it nice and big for them. And I hate gray, so I usually make it a dark blue. Okay, and then the form background. This one bothers me because I don't like that depressing gray that they have. So when you go under form background and you click on the colors, you can change that, and also the page background. I take off the tile, and then it becomes something I can just make it white. And it seems that students like to read on white better. Some people were doing it on black. This is what it would look like. I'm not sure if that's always helpful to them or not, but whatever they're doing when it's online, it's a different mode for them to be working in. I try and make sure that the reading for them is easy so they're not squinting or they're not having a hard time reading all of that. So I can go, do all that under change theme, which gives me a little bit more control. And then I go back to my questions and I can start out with naming it like immigration IPA. Okay, well, that's all that stuff that you've done before. If you're working on your school district's Google, you're inside your Google platform for school, you'll have you can collect the students' names, or you can require them to sign in. I think a lot of teachers prefer doing it that way because that way students can't say, oh, I lost it or something. Another quick little thing I would say is if you have a timed situation, our school doesn't give 2 or 3 hours for finals. It's just the class period, so we don't get extra time. If you've got a long Google form, I would suggest putting it into 2, making, like questions 1 through 20 here and then 20 through 40. Because if they don't finish a Google form, they can't just save their answers. Some kids have been doing they'll do a copy paste into a Google Doc and then they come back and they paste it in. That's their workaround, but I try and make sure it's something that they, at any level, could finish that. Just because there were a few kids who were working really hard, but they're not as fast readers. So that was, they felt, and I said, well, if you just put a little X in there, I'll figure that out that you didn't finish. And then next time when you come back in, put an X on everything you did and then start from where you left off. That was a workaround. It wasn't ideal, but that's what we could do. Okay. So for our first question, how you just got to put in how many people. Okay. Putting that in, and then of course you get to choose your style. And the text is for a short answer. Paragraph is for longer, multiple choice. I do a lot of choose from lists because I do want them to be able to discriminate. And then the checkboxes is pretty similar as well. Find everything that you've read in this article. So they have a couple different ones. I always make it a required question so they can't skip around it. And so here's where you're going to start putting in your rich media. So the first thing that you can put in is you're going to attach it to this question. So you've got the question before you hit done, go to add item and go into image. And there's lots of ways that you can do that. So if you've got a picture on your hard drive that you'd like to upload, kind of like what I did, here's one from Canada, you can just upload that. And there it is right there. You can title the image, okay, and put something in there. You can also go to Google Images. So you've got an idea of an infographic. Let's see. Okay, so you've got one, you haven't saved it yet, but you just found it. So here, well, that's just Italy. Here's the one I just used. We're going to pick this one. And then when you go to show the image, you can click on that. And what you're going to do is go up to the URL and copy that. And then you want to make sure it's either a JPEG or a GIF, so that's something that you can use. And you go back in, and if we just want to get rid of that and add an item as a URL, you can just paste that in, and there it is right there.
Okay.
That's a nice way to do it. I like to save all of my resources because if I want to use them again, they're right there. Some people build albums, so if they're using Google Plus, or if you've got it shared, saved in your Google Drive, or you can even search. This one I don't like as much because the breadth isn't always as big as I'd like it to be. If you had a book in front of you, like the book you're reading, Esperanza, you could hold it up and take a picture, describe this picture. And that's another thing, is I like to scan some of the stuff I'm using. So if I'm reading an article, or if we've got a book and there's a certain drawing in there or a certain infographic, I can scan that and then just upload that as well. So we've got that, we've got a picture, and our students can comment on that in writing. So you could make a paragraph text, and that's right above here. So there's done. So now here's our question. And if I want to make it a paragraph text, there's their longer answer. They're looking at this picture and they're putting their answer right there. So already it's pretty visually impressive. Okay, so then we put in another paragraph text if we wanted to. And this time we're going to add in a video. So maybe there's a short report that you found about immigration, or about maybe about unions or corrupt government. That could be pretty easy to find, I would think. You can go onto YouTube and find that specifically. And what I like to do with that is, let's see,
Oh, sorry. Doesn't, because of our district blocks YouTube, and
okay.
Is there a way around that?
Try doing this. If you put it in a Google form, it sometimes works.
Okay. Okay.
That's the sneakiest thing I will say to teachers out loud. You know, try it, because sometimes because it's in a Google form, the school district isn't picked up on that. So that is an important thing, though. Do they allow Daily Motion or TeacherTube or anything else?
I haven't tried that. I mean, I knew like that YouTube flat out was, I mean, I can access it. So like sometimes when we do it, I'll just put up my screen. But the other day, I was really excited because I was doing something on Immigrant Archive Project, and the kids all logged in and, were like, kind of interested, and then they couldn't see any of the videos, and then it comes to find out it was because it goes through YouTube, and so that one didn't work. And so maybe I'll try in the Google form and see if that.
And you try it as a student as you're logged in. So have a student make like a fake one and send it to a student. See if they see if the student can see it while they're logged in at school. That's the disparity that we have in our nation, is that my students get everything, as in they can see YouTube, they can see social media. A few things are blocked, like Snapchat on the school Wi-Fi is blocked. There's a few things, but what I do is, in the beginning, as we all say, in the beginning when we were blocked, I went to my district person. I said, I'm going to be using this with the students, and you see that it's educational, and you see that I have it all locked together inside a Google form, so that there's no issue. Okay. This is like a web quest. And when I say it's going to meet this standard, and it's going to be supporting Common Core, I just pull out all those magical words, and then the district starts saying, well, we're preventing our students from being assessed in the one thing, or the many things that we're asking the teachers to work harder on: technology, Common Core, writing, listening, speaking. That's all the stuff that they want us to work on. And if we're saying you block that, then why are you asking me to use technology? Why do you give us Chromebooks if the students can't access what we need?
And that was one of the other, our French teacher went to our department chair to talk about YouTube, and then our principal had asked our department chair kind of, what do you think? And she said, I can see that there are inappropriate things on YouTube. She says, but there's also this use for it. And so there really wasn't, and from there we don't know, we still haven't had access to it. So I'm assuming she decided no or something. I'm not sure yet.
So the students can use the Chromebooks, and are they blocked on a lot of sites?
For sure, I know that YouTube and Yahoo are blocked. And and that was just a recent thing. They said until we can figure out, because whatever the case was, I'm not sure. That was our technology guy kind of emailed everyone district wide, but I know that they can't access Twitter, or maybe Snapchat. They can't on school
on the
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi
On their phone.
There's a couple things I'm not okay with, but the truth is that when we're trying to say that we're preparing students for the life beyond high school, we aren't teaching them how to be responsible consumers of media online. So I would put together, you do work with Natalia?
I don't work with her. I did in the past. And now we are at two different districts. So
two different districts. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe
in the Milwaukee area, and I'm in Racine.
Oh, I've been there. Cool.
Yeah. So, and I'm jealous of the things that Natalia has access to. She talks about it, and I was like, oh, I'm jealous.
We collaborated together on quite a few things. So put together your campaign, because the truth is that if your school district has in its mission to prepare students for the future, that's it. That's your in right there. And I know I sound subversive, but the truth is teachers need to be great advocates for what we find. So let's pretend that you can put in one. So here's your video.
Okay.
And then there's a question. And I know that's annoying, but so we've got two media in there. At least you can have the pictures. Okay. And then there's that. You said you wanted to record your students. So there's a couple ways. There's a couple add-ons that you can get for Chromebooks to record. And I think I'd have to have my Chromebook on me. I'll set it up. It's mic audio, I think. Mic Chromebook. It's a pretty good one where, mic note.
Mic note.
Okay. Yeah. You can add that on, and it does a pretty good job of recording your students, and then they can just upload. So that it'll give them a link. So if you had a question down here and said, watch this video, and for the answer, you're going to paste the link of your audio recording.
Okay.
So that's a great way so that you don't have to have them do Google Voice and then have to go listen to that in a different place. Here you're going to get, when you look at your answers, let's see if I've got the answers up here. Okay, so when you go to the view responses and a student usually puts in a text answer, they'll have their link and you can just click on that and listen to it.
Okay.
So you would just go in right there and click and listen to it. And that's pretty helpful to keep it on there. The other one that I really like is called Sherbet, and you'd have to test it with your school and see if it works. I use Sherbet to record my students both. Oh, I don't have it. I must have been logged out. Let's do it with this one. Okay. So I'm going to have to click off of that one for a few seconds. I love it because, let's pull up my school account. One more second. We have our SoundCloud too. Okay, here's our Sherbet. So when the students record, they can give you a link and you can listen to it directly, or you can leave an audio message on that. So let's see if we can get right in there. Where is that? Okay, there. Let's open it in a new tab. They just updated it. Okay, there it is. So when you listen to it, you can, if you're the teacher, you can listen to it and then you can leave them an audio reply. So that you said, great job, you did really well, but next time work on this. I have one account that all of my students use. So that way I see all of the recordings all at once. You could do it where you have students doing their own accounts and that they give you access to it. That's another option.
Okay.
There are a couple different ways to do that, but when they get theirs, they can just take that link, they record it, and they go back in and just paste it right in there.
Okay.
That's one way. The other one that, if that doesn't work, is SoundCloud. SoundCloud does pretty much the same exact thing, except you can't leave text or audio comments on it. And I use it because I can follow a lot of what do I want to say, like authentic resources. So not the Coors Light one, but these are news people that I listen to. There's a couple of different ones that I have been following for the students, so that they know that they can find stuff online that's not just music. That's what most people use it for. So here's Les Petits Citoyens. It is a great way for French teachers to listen to daily posts on what's going on in the news.
Okay.
I love this. So my students could listen to this. So I give them the link inside the Google form. So let's do like this one. So do you see the link at the top?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to copy that, and I could put that in my form in the question. So I would say, go listen to this, go listen to this audio. And you have lots of them for Spanish. When I do this, when I click on it, the students are, let's go to view this form. Okay. So the students just click on it and it sends it right there. So there's no worries about them having to go search for it. So then they come back and then they would record their answer in it, or they could record an answer or type out an answer.
Okay.
So these are a couple of things that you'd have to practice around to see that your school district doesn't block SoundCloud or doesn't block Sherbet, but usually MikeNote is an add-on, that one that I showed you before.
Right. Okay.
So that shouldn't be blocked at all because that's an actual Google Apps for Education add-on. Okay, so there we have a picture, we have a video, we have sound that they can listen to, and we have a way to record them. You have short answers, you have multiple choice answers, and then you have long answers. I know this form looks like a mess. It was kind of done on the fast one. So here's your longer answer. So, and that will let you write as long as you want. And that's a couple of things I do just to add in. So some infographics where they can comment on those infographics, or if it's a video that the only type of videos that you can put into a Google form are YouTube ones, unfortunately. Okay. But if you found one that you know that your students can get to, so say like you're on Daily Motion, you can just take that link and put it in there as well.
Okay.
So now the video won't show up in there perfectly. In fact, all they'll have is a link to it, which still is pretty good because at least they don't have to go looking for it. So there's the link and it pops up open. So even if it was something you found on TeacherTube and they allow that, which isn't ideal, but that's still in a moment. Somebody there. Sorry about that. I didn't know if you were able to hear all that audio.
No, I didn't.
That's good because one of those pop-ups. So this is a completed one I have. This is just for my French 2 students. I was having them read an article about French meals. And I changed everything and I put, their names in. And just for the real basics, I started with easy, choose the right answer. And then as we go along, the questions become more complicated because they have to go back to the reading and find the answers. And then they have to start looking at a different website and go find something. And then they're having to discriminate real basic things. And at the very end, they're having to answer longer questions. And that one's just real basic. It says, go find 3 desserts that you'd like to try. So that's just opinion. Down at the bottom, what would you like to, or what is it that you like to eat for your after-school snack? And then I gave them some sentence starters. And those are more the high-level ones because they're having to say, why do you like them? So that's kind of what like a real basic Google form with some embedded media looks like. Would you like to see a really advanced one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is like for 4th year. Let me see which one. I think it's in my personal one. Let me check on this here. started this about 2 or 3 years ago, and I think where I got excited by it was when I started being able to answer more in depth and in breadth. It's just like the students didn't just read, they actually had to explain where they found it and what they're going to do with it. So let's see here. These are all my IPA submission reform. Is that one? That might be it. Oh, okay, those are some other ones. Sorry about that. It's writing sample photo to class. I think I may have done them in my school one. Okay. So this was a video, and I'll show you the live form. This is third year. Okay, so they're in the health unit. This is the video that they watched, and it's 4 minutes long. So it's a little bit longer than they're used to. And I'm trying to push them up over just the basics. Mm-hmm. And this time I changed the color of the questions and the answers so they could visualize a little bit better. And then, so there's a really wide variety of questions that I'm asking them, but they're all based on the one video. And that was for them kind of a challenge because they're used to seeing little video. I did that for advertisements for foods, a real basic one, but then this one, they have to really understand this long video for them and go through a wide variety of questions. So that was more challenging for them because it was for the second year kids, something that they hadn't been exposed to yet, but it did very well because they could stop the video, they could pause it right there, answer the question, go back up and answer, and then do it again.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn off the thing and come back to you. We're going to stop the screen sharing and say, what do you think? Does it look pretty easy to do?
I think so. I think probably the hardest thing is probably just looking for the materials that I would want to include in this.
Well, I saw that you used Line Chat as the hashtag for your question.
Yes.
If you put it up there and you teach Spanish and you have Senora Spanglish, you have Laura Sexton, you have Ali Lenore. All of these Spanish teachers kind of have already, like they have a big Pinterest boards. Mm-hmm. They have all these resources. Carol Gabb, of course, and Martina Bex. Mm-hmm. And one more person, oh my goodness, Christy Placido.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, they're the TPRS people. They provide a lot of these authentic resources. So if you could say, you know, we're working on this theme, I need one, like maybe one or two, a picture. So like the immigrant story, you know, that picture of the little child face down in the water that it made everybody cry with a Syrian child. I wouldn't show that to my students necessarily. But I know there's a lot of other good pictures that present that idea. That would be something that I would just put a picture, you know, if this is fourth year, and get them to use those higher level. In my opinion, I feel that it's right, that it's wrong, that I don't know if you're into the subjunctive use or not.
I've been introduced to it, just they don't know that.
And I don't push it. I give them the little chunks so that they can use that as a sentence starter. And I already give them the verb so they see that what it looks like. The first, the first 20 times I give it to them, and after a while they're used to it. An infographic of the numbers of what immigration looks like in a specific area, especially about the United States. I think immigration from Mexico was way down in the past couple of years. And then why would that be? You know, the question of what do you know about current events that would lead it to be like this? Okay. That type of thing where you can have them record. And the nice thing is, and then you've got the students who are doing really well at just speaking. They could choose to answer that way. Since you do choice boards, allow them to either record their answer or to type their answer. Right, okay. Or have them provide another link to an article. So you say, okay, here's our thing that we did. Now go find another article and provide the link for the group. And so they would put that link right into their answer, and then you would have a compilation of them. And then maybe they could explain why I chose this article is because it relates to this picture because.
I like that idea. Are you ever worried about with students having so much access to the internet? I have some students who are very large
Oh
users
yeah.
of Google Translate, and we talk about, I know your ability and I know what you guys are capable of, or what you've shown me. This isn't your work. Um, I think that's one of the concerns, because I do have a few students in that class that like to visit sites like that.
I
And we
think it's
talk,
always, I think it's the idea though that if you word your questions in the right way, if it's, and this is the harshest way to say it, if you word your questions well, Google Translate's not going to help them. So if
okay,
you're asking them to speak, what are they going to? I guess they might Google Translate their whole answer.
right,
But then again, this is another thought: is that hey, they thought of an answer. They just
right,
needed some support. I mean, but when you have them type it, um, that can be an issue for some people. You know what it looks like, and
right,
I the students say, well, write it out by hand, please. That there's then that's where I set up my parameters and say, if you choose to do this, your consequence is going to be you will just write it out by hand with no technology at all, and I'll know right away. So
okay,
I got a couple of people said, well, what if the kids use Google Translate and then make errors on purpose, like change a couple of the things? Like, wow, that's intense. The kids actually knows that they have to change their adjectives. That means that they know that adjectives actually have to agree.
right,
Smart kid. So you know what I mean? There
right,
is that moment. So if you word the question where it's an opinion, so they can't go just find an answer, especially if you're doing comprehension questions for a text.
right, okay,
They can Google those answers, but when you ask them to give an opinion or a personal experience, or go find an article that states this, they're having to use the technology still, but it's showing that they use their own higher level thinking skills to get the answer.
okay,
The kids that use Google Translate, we know that aren't going to be great communicators, and that's their personal choice. I mean,
right,
I'm learning Spanish to become a better speaker, writer, thinker,
mhm,
and I have a plan for it in life. The kids that are doing it just for the grade,
mhm,
I don't know. I could talk for an hour on that one, but
right,
I'm like, you said you wanted to learn French. I always tell my kids that, so learn it. Don't be
right,
ashamed that it's not perfect. And that's the other thing, is that I don't, especially on the Google Forms, I don't count off for spelling a lot. You can show them how to change the keyboards into the international keyboard. Have you done that?
We just
So
figured that out with our Chromebooks,
good,
because some
good.
students were worried about accents and things, and so,
And they can actually change the spelling corrector in Google to be Spanish.
okay,
So that sometimes helps a couple of them who are afraid,
mhm,
to make a mistake. Well, you're going to have the corrector, and I don't mind that they use the corrector. I really don't.
right. And my kids for the most part, they're really, they use things like word reference, and
Yeah.
they're really good. And we did have that conversation of, we're in Spanish 4, you chose this class,
Mhm.
so I expect different behavior than possible.
And the thing is that I say, are you doing this for the grade, or are you doing this to show you demonstrate your knowledge? Okay, those are two different things for me. And that, I
Right.
sometimes final test. So a couple of people say, well, the worry, the idea that what if something happens with the Wi-Fi that day? Have a
Okay.
backup. Have a backup. Have a paper copy
Okay.
of this. Because for some people, the final test means the final test, and we can't do it past that date ever again. Me,
Yeah.
if I'm sort of flexible to the point, I know I see these kids next semester. If we didn't get to do the final on this one day, guess what? When you come back the first day of the next semester, we can do it again. It's no big deal.
And that's kind of how I mean, I have these kids all year, and so and we make exceptions. Like, I have a girl who's going on vacation with her family, and we're doing it early, and that's kind of why I'm trying to figure things out. I said, Alyssa, I might not be here, so I kind of figured out mostly for you first, and then everybody
Yeah.
else will kind of
And you
follow.
can do a test run. Maybe do you have beyond fourth year, do you have AP?
I don't.
But a teacher could throw this out to a kid and see how long it takes him.
He could, yes.
It's like just to test it, because not all kids do well answering questions online. So
Okay.
I do offer the students who don't the option to do the same thing. I still have them look things up, so they have to look at the infographic. So I give them a piece,
Okay.
I give them the photocopy of the infographic or the picture. But there are some kids, and I don't count this against them, that they just don't connect in that reading and answering online thing. And for Common Core students that have to take all of their tests on Chromebooks now, I feel really bad because
Yeah.
I had to take a math test to become a teacher, and I failed it 4 times because it was on a computer. You give it to me in paper and pencil, I got it.
I remember that yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's the idea that we can't use this to replace and say that all students will succeed with this, but the visuals do help a lot. So the video, when I showed the advertisements for food to my first year, they watched those videos 15 times over and over. Can we watch it again? Yes, go ahead and watch it again. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
You want to hear more French? Go nuts.
Sure, that's perfect.
So, do you have any other questions about how to do any specific tasks?
Not right now. I wrote a whole bunch. I have like 2 pages full of notes already.
Awesome. I'm going to give you a link to the, in fact, I think it's already in the chat box. Do you see that up on the right-hand side? It says ATF Blogspot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's my blog post on this, and it will show you step by step. It's a 2-part blog, and hang on a second, because I'm going to cough. It's not raining, so my throat is dry. It's not raining here. I cannot believe it. It's sunny out in Washington, but
it's sunny here, but really, really cold. No, no snow yet, which I'm okay with.
No snow?
No snow.
We have 188 inches at Mount Baker.
Oh wow.
188 is amazing. But I hope you can keep in contact with me with if you have any other questions, because I find out that when teachers are using this, like, my students did the whole thing. They didn't whine, they didn't complain, they loved it. And if you add some stuff in it, so it's not just question answer, but it's interact with the image, interact with the video, interact with the sound. I will send you a couple of the links I know for authentic audio.
Okay.
So like the news reports, I know there's Spanish news for kids. That's supposed to be in easy Spanish.
That'd be great, yeah.
But just put that out on LangChat, because definitely there's somebody that's going to be able to throw you like a million resources.
Right.
And that's the best part of having a Google Hangout and having LangChat and having all these other ones. So
I don't know what I would do without LangChat. That's how I find all my help.
Every week we all just sit there and go, wow, we learned so much.
That's how I know because when I worked with Natalia, I remember my first kind of aha moment was when she was walking down the hallway talking to her students in French, and they were right along with her. And I remember being like, I want my students there. And so with Natalia and getting things like that, she's like, here's LangChat, here's this. Like, she's the one that kind of put out everybody's name out there. And so,
well, we have the T-shirts. I was going to wear the T-shirt, but it's a little cold for that.
I do have one. Yes.
I would love us to have like a whole 10 teacher panel LangChat just one night, just because the 140 character thing is fine, and you can chat on the side. So we could have the chat and watch a video, like talk to each other. That would be just, I think that'd be powerful. I try and point that out once in a while. They're like, well, we're kind of like the Twitter.
Well,
Twitter might not. It's kind of cool. I mean, because now I've like reached out and touched somebody. So
that's right.
I'm going to go to a cider and salami tasting downtown.
Ooh, that sounds. I'm just gonna be. I have homework for my master's classes, and I'm pretty much I'm not very mobile right now. So.
Did you run, or were you running?
I wasn't. My knee. Kids ask me this. They're like, "What'd you do?" And I'm like, "I didn't do anything." My knee just popped. It popped here and there, and then on Sunday it popped officially, and I couldn't bend it, and I ended up tearing my meniscus. So yeah, I have to.
Okay.
We'll see Monday what they officially say. Yes, thank you. So I'm assuming that it'll be surgery, but hopefully not.
And they can't do it during the break, huh?
We're gonna see. The first doctor I called to schedule an appointment. They could see me January 6th. And I said, I kind of chuckled and I said, I can't wait that long. And so then I called a different doctor and they were like, we can get you in on Monday. So I'm going to see them Monday for my appointment, and then hopefully I could schedule it over break because that would be the best. That would be the best case scenario. So
if you do make a Google form, will you share it with us online?
Absolutely.
And then say, hey, here's what the first one looks like, because I've done about 20 of these. They look different each time, and I change things like changing color of the text, red and black.
That's how I am. I'm all about fonts and different things like that. So
not that it's it takes away, because if I put it in handwriting, they would hate me, the cursive one, but just whatever it is, because I know there's a lot of teachers out there who don't have what we have. We have Chromebooks, and they said, well, how can I do this? I say, have the kids go home and do it. Yeah. It's homework. That's a flipped class thing, or take them to you don't need Chromebooks, take them to the computer lab. And you said you have that.
We do.
Make sure everybody's got that, for your audio.
The computer lab is just for the world language teachers, and they have headsets and desktop Macs. But yeah, I mean, and then we have
I'm slightly more than jealous on that. I shouldn't be, but I've got a lot, so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for our community supporting us. Well, I wish you sweat down many, many different ends. Thank and keep us in touch and keep us up to date, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.